Hey everybody, this is the beginning of my new YouTube channel. I figured I'm making the wreaths anyway, so I might as well do some tutorials while I'm at it. So the purposes of this video is just to cover tools and a couple of basic things like how to make your own wreath form and how to cut your mesh. And the rest of my videos, I want the goal to be that whether it's your first wreath tutorial or if you've been doing this for years, it will be easy to follow and you'll be able to feel like you've learned something, that you've accomplished something and made something beautiful. So we'll go ahead and get started with tools. First thing, tool bag. Seriously, and especially if you're like me, keep everything organized in the garage and then your workspace is in here, you're going to want a tool bag. It makes everything carrying in so much easier. Secondly, cutting mat. Now a lot of people, sometimes they put two smaller cutting mats together. I think that's more complicated. So they are more expensive, but just go ahead and get the 36 inch by 24 inch. This is a self-healing cutting mat. Fiskars is the brand. I love Fiskars. Great quality and not too expensive. And also, there's always coupons for Michael's and Joann's, and so you can save yourself a bit of money. Also, do not get water on it, ever. It is self-healing, but water just ruins it. So, another thing that you're going to want to have, just a regular glass cutting board. These are at Walmart for like $5. You're going to need this for cutting your mesh. So, another thing, glue gun, obvious, because you're going to use a lot of hot glue. Notebook. So, if you have a tutorial that you really like, just get a notebook dedicated to wreath measurements and write down size of bows, how long the loops are, the tails are, lengths of the mesh, how many pieces you'll need, and this will really come in handy so you don't have to go scan through the tutorial later to find out. I'll be right here. Zip ties, you're gonna need these for most of the, like, not the ruffle wreaths, but like bubble and poof, things like that. You're going to need 2 zip ties for a wreath typically. Floral wire. On evergreen, you're going to use a lot of this, but it's handy to have. Bow maker. I use the Bow Jabra. The Pro Bow, a lot of people like it because of super high precision, but I've been using the Pro Bow since I first started. It's really inexpensive, and I've been able to do every bow that I've needed to make. It's super easy to use too. And we will be going over the bows. So, I'm not sure what video. Scissors, again, I use Fiskars. Only use them for your ribbon. Chip clip. This will come in handy for doing curls and cruffles. A lot of people will use their hands. Trust me, you're going to get worn out really fast if you try holding everything in your fingers. So, chip clip. Measuring tape. Now most bows, there is a standard size, but you're going to want it to fit your wreath and fit with your signs and embellishments, and sometimes your standard isn't going to quite work out. So just have a tape measure on hand so you can make sure that the measurements are right so you don't wind up too short, and also so you don't have to trim off some of the tails and waste ribbon, because ribbon's expensive. Okay, for most of my mesh, 90% of my mesh, I do wood burner. The reason is because mesh does like to fray. With the wood burner, it really prevents it. But you will want a rotary cutter for mesh like jute, like the jute burlap mesh, because wood burner just won't work on it. Again, Fiskars. Okay, now this thing, Okay, I asked 10 people at Joann's where I could find them. I didn't know what the correct name of it was, and no one could tell me. They told me they didn't carry them there. They're in the jewelry making section, so you know. And they're just a little metal hole punch. That's what they call them, little metal hole punch. You will need these for signs. To attach them, they put a really small hole in, so it's really not noticeable. String your tinsel ties or your floral wire through, and yeah, but seriously, these are great. And you will need them. Staple gun, because the thick wooden signs, you're not going to be able to punch a hole in them. So, this is my mother-in-law's, and I think she forgot that I have it, but until she asks for it back. But so we're here. But what you do is you just take your tinsel tie, put it where you want, on the back of your sign, hold it down, punch it. And it will make it nice and secure. Just dropping everything. Wire cutters. Now get yourself a really good pair of wire cutters. You can get really good pairs at like Harbor Freight or something like that for like $7 to $10, and they will last you a really long time. You're going to want them for cutting your tinsel ties because you won't always want them this long. Sometimes you're going to have to cut them in half. It's also handy for trimming up, cleaning up your wreath after you're done, getting all the loose ends. Also for cutting your floral wire. So you'll need those. Wreath hangers, not just for displaying. This is too low to really get a sense of what I'm doing. My other counter, too high to really be able to tell what I'm doing. So I hang everything on my pantry door. And to be able to get the right look of how people are going to see it straight on, I use one of these, and I'm able to really be quicker and more effective than having it laying flat and trying to decorate it that way. These, you want something thin because the big ones are going to be for your standard wreaths, but if you have a form wreath like this is going to be the next video because I've had a lot of requests for the cross, and I was going to start with a simpler method, but this had requests, so this is going to be the next one. But see how thin that is? You're not going to be able to get a regular wreath form through that. So get one of these. These are probably like in the, wherever you buy the laundry stuff, closet organizing stuff in Walmart. They're like a couple of bucks. So there we go. Okay, glue sticks, obviously. Tinsel ties, you will go through mountains of them. This is the corkscrew. This is for your wine when you want to cry. And if you're just starting out, you will want to cry. So, one thing that you have to know about deco mesh is that it does fray and falls apart. And when you have partial rolls, you have to be careful about how you store them because this was not stored very carefully. The roll that this came from was given to me by a friend. So as you can see, it's really beat up. So I had to cut this much off to be able to start using the rest of the roll. So, yeah. Baskets. You can get them from thrift shops. I got this for like $3 at a thrift shop. At a craft store, it's gonna lay you back about 20 bucks at least. So it's really handy for keeping your projects, putting all your tools together, all your materials, your ribbon, deco mesh, everything that you're going to use. Cart it in from the garage, and it really helps save time so you don't have to make a million trips. Okay, so now that we got all that, we're going to get rid of these. So moving on. I am going to really quickly show you, one more thing. These wreath forms, they're really nice and everything. And you can buy them at Joann's and Michael's and online, like places like Craft Outlet and the Wreath Shop. But this one's $8. Unless if you find them on sale, like when towards the end of the season, I mean, $8 really cuts into your profit margin if you're planning on selling. So you can make your own. So these, Dollar Tree. Always be careful when you buy them because sometimes these little brackets come separated. So instead of just grabbing a stack, always pick each one out individually. Check, make sure that there's no breaks, no uneven seams, stuff like that. I wasn't really careful and see that part right there. So I'm gonna have to be careful, be gentle with it. Okay, so a lot of people, the way that they like to do it is they'll put one in the middle on the first and second bar, and then they'll do two right there. I have found, because I'm a nut for make sure everything measures correctly, like when I do poofs and things, the way that I do it, I wind up with a much more even finished base. So what I do is I start at the bar and I go 4 inches between each one. And then I start on the inner 2, I start in between, and then I go another 4 inches apart, 4 inches along. Now this is closer together than a lot of different methods, but I have never had a problem with doing a poof. So I did most of this, and I'll just kind of show you. So let's see, out of my way. Okay, so I'm doing the outside first. So I just put it on the 20 mark, measure it at 24. Make sure you got it. Okay, outside and the one next to it. Otherwise, it's gonna slide around like crazy, which you do not want when you're dealing with your mesh. So give it 2 good tight twists. Grab another 24, and 2 tight twists, and we're done. And then some of them are going to wind up overlapping. I have never noticed once I'm done doing a poof or poof ruffle or anything like that. I have never noticed flat spots or uneven. Comes out even every time for me. So this is tried and true for me. But it does take longer and more tinsel ties. So not everyone likes it. I gotta figure out what I'm doing here. So many numbers. Okay, so again, inner and the next one up, always get the 2, and then pull tight so you don't want to slide. 2 good twists. Now, last one. Okay, we're at 4 inches, pull tight, twist, twist. And there you go. And so it winds up being like $1.10 after you twist ties, because I buy the bags of twist ties from Dollar Tree. I do not get the fuzzy ones because I've noticed that they do not blend as well with the mesh. And also I don't know why, but they seem like they're stronger. Like I can really twist and get it tight, and they don't break apart. The fuzzy ones have broken apart on me a few times. Okay, so last thing for the video, I think. Okay, I don't have anything else lying around. Okay, so I messed up and I didn't have enough mesh for the next wreath, so we had to improvise. That is what is in this basket, is the thing. I always do my bundles first for the cross wreath. It's easier, but I didn't have enough of this. I think the gold matches the best out of the colors that I had. Okay, so you always go in the direction of when it's curling, so the curl face down, and got your glass cutting board. Where I'm gonna slide. Oh dear, I'm gonna start a fire. Glad that didn't land on the dog. Okay, be very careful with this because I have really burned myself with just a microsecond poke. So always be very careful with this. And I don't have my stand anymore, so this video is turning out lovely. Okay, so go all the way to your 1 inch and go to 30 right here. and then you can see the line through. All you need is a regular wedge tip. You don't need a fancy wood burner. This was at Harbor Freight, I think $9. So you just need a wedge tip. You don't need a full kit or anything like that. It's, yeah, very simple. And you just go down, kind of, and you want to go a little bit slower just so it has time to cut through. But I mean, you're gonna start out slow at first, but like everything, the more you do it, the faster you'll get. And I've noticed that I'm faster at this than I am at a rotary cutter. Okay, so when you first open a roll of deco mesh, it will be slightly uneven on the cut. So you're always gonna wanna line up everything along that line, hold it down, and then trim off the very end, just so you're even, okay? And get rid of those little things. Okay, so, and then you gotta flip it around. Okay, so we're lined up at the one, and we're curled outward. And a lot of people say that it's easier to just let it roll off the table. That's if you have a square table, not if you have a round table like me. It makes it harder. So there is, oh gosh darn it, okay. Normally I'm on the other side of the table, so this is kind of funky. Okay, so, and then it just kind of curls up for you, and then you just put it right there. They stack really well because nothing sticks to deco mesh like deco mesh. Also, I don't wear rings, don't wear jewelry, wear my hair back, because hair also sticks to deco mesh. I have gotten my head stuck in a wreath before, and a ring will snag in your, because you're going to get deep down in some of these wreaths. So, if you guys have any questions, oh, another thing, pickle jars. Pickle jars are a lifesaver because you can put your tinsel ties, your glue sticks, pretty much some of your tools, everything, and it keeps neat, organized. I'm sorry that I talk so fast. I have no idea how much battery is on my phone. Couldn't find my camera, so that's why we're doing it this way. But if this was just covering the basics, and next video we're going to go over doing a cross form wreath, and it's a beautiful end result and it's very versatile, so we're going to be doing that. Okay, well, thanks so much everyone, and you have a wonderful day, evening, or whenever you are watching this. I don't have anybody to turn off my camera for me.